Hello, everyone. Welcome to Headmaster's Homeroom. It is art night tonight. That's right. Nice to see all of my wonderful family and friends over there and all these different chats. I'm so excited everybody joining me tonight. Happy Friday. I just want to say hello to a lot of our wonderful Artist Corner family over there in Rumble. So nice to see you all and welcome everyone. Hello to all of our family and friends over there on Pilled. So nice to see you guys. Hello, X people. Make sure you guys say hello and hello to YouTube. Thank you everyone for joining me tonight. Don't forget to do me a favor and hit those buttons. Well, it's art night tonight, and tonight we are going to do a flip in the situation. I'm actually going to be interviewed by one of our amazing Artist Corner family members, right? And we're going to see what he has to ask me or talk to me about. I'm a little nervous, everyone, because I do not have a clue the questions he's going to be asking me tonight and information that we're going to be sharing. I see you guys are like, spill the beans. Well, I have no idea what he's going to be asking tonight, but do me a favor, everyone. Please welcome to the stage the one and only FrostyPimp. Hey, Frosty.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Lady Hamilton. How are
Hello,
you?
my friend.
So, I want to say how honored I am to be able to interview you, the queen of podcasting. Um, it is such a nice honor to be able to be the one. And all I did was simply ask, and of course, you said, "Well, sure." And here we are. And then I realized, well, I might not be the most qualified or the best person amongst us to do this, but I really want to do you justice. I really want to
Okay.
highlight all the work you do. And so I crafted my questions um, very carefully. And I realized I can't imitate you and your brilliance with this,
Oh, thank
but
you.
I can only just do frosty things. And
We'll take Frosty
I
things.
really, I really come up with these questions that I really appreciate you allowing me to ask the questions I want to.
All
Uh,
right.
and I think that it will give insight into all that you do for all of us. That's what my hopes are.
Awesome. Well, I'm a little nervous, and my husband, the funny thing that he was saying is, make sure, you don't ask questions you don't want the answers to. So that was kind of funny. That was his only piece of advice to say to you tonight. And thank you for calling me the queen of podcasts. I try, and I love what I do. You know that. I love that. I'm trying to ground it. Oh my gosh, there's so many people here. And
Hello, everybody.
right? Make sure you say hello to everybody. So many people in the chats over there. A lot of our Artist Corner family there. You guys, I'm trying to grab those chats up. But
I love you
I'm a
all.
little nervous. I have no idea what basically he's going to ask. We are going to look at a little bit of art and stuff, but he really wanted to, was talking about being interviewed on a different show, and he jumped right to that. And he goes, "I would love to interview you, so we could find out a lot about what you do, who you are, and including your artwork." So it is honestly my honor to be interviewed by one of you guys. So we are going to let him have it. I'll try to be looking at the chats and grabbing your comments and whatever. If you guys have a question for Frosty or something like that, make sure you guys know how to do that, the sirens and whatever. But again, welcome, everybody. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. All right,
Yes.
Frosty, I'm going to let you have the reins, my friend. So here we
Well,
go.
I appreciate everybody showing up. Hello, everybody. Um, so when I was thinking about all the things I really want to ask Lady Hamilton, I mean, we could spend 3 shows. Frosty's got lots of questions, but I remember when I first joined Artist Corner, I just lucked into finding this amazing group, and Lady Hamilton was there and was so inviting to me and all the other artists as well. And I didn't know anything about how this whole thing worked or what all. I just started posting, and the next thing I know, I saw Lady Hamilton had a school, Hamilton Liberty Academy, and I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. And then the next thing is I posted art. You invited me to be on your show, and I'm like, whoa, I don't think Lady Hamilton knows who I am. I don't know if I'm right for a show. And of course, I did it. You reassured me, and it was so easy because we
Mhm.
just sat and had a conversation. And I think when I was preparing for the show, I just thought about it like, what do I really want to know? Because I think I am not alone in all the questions I want to ask you about. And it's like almost like we were sitting down at a private dinner or something, the things I would ask you. And I thought that would be the most informative to everybody, not only to me, but to everybody out there to know what all you do, how much you do, how much you serve others, and some of the burdens that come along with that. Uh, I couldn't believe it that okay, well this podcasting thing that was easy. She's great at that, but she does 5 shows a week, and they're different topics. And I just pictured in my mind, I'm like, you must have like a whole production team and assistants to help you. You have schools going, you do our group. It was really mind blowing. And then to find out that, well, you do most of, not all of this work, mostly on your own.
Mhm.
That's amazing to me. I know I've said it many times. I think you're probably the busiest woman in America. I can't imagine anybody that does more. And you do it every day, 365 days a year. And then you still have life. So I was kind of wanting to go through what is a typical day like for Lady Hamilton, a typical week. How much of your time is actually spent promoting others essentially?
That's my first question. Okay, well, first of all, thank you. Yeah, I'm not the busiest woman in the world, but I am pretty busy and it is devoted. So, yeah, I do wake up in the morning and I have my time, guys, where I wake up and I do my things. I got to grab my coffee, got to do all that kind of stuff. I got animals to feed, got to go out and say, so I have my personal life and things I do first. That always comes first. My husband's a graveyarder, so I try to be as quiet as possible because he sleeps at night. Um, and so I have kind of the day. But once I get going onto this, the first thing I hit is the artist corner. In truth, that is the first thing I hit because I am thinking. And if you guys don't know, I have a spreadsheet that I work on that is a month out to make sure that I highlight everybody in the group. And as it grows, then I've got to manipulate and add new people in and make sure that they're not left out. And I want to do them. I might have to bump some people back because I don't want them to think that I've ignored them, and things like that. So I have a major Excel sheet that now is like a year long, going on to make sure I do that. So the artist of the day and posting that, what day is it? What's the theme day? And then, so I do that and I post the artist of the day. And then I go to my regular stream, with my good mornings. And then after I do that, well, first, actually, even before I do that, I try to hit and like and share everybody's post. That's something I usually do. I don't know how many other group leaders literally like and share almost every single post in the group. I'll come back and comment later if I can. And then I go over now that we're on X and I do the same thing. I copy and paste and go over there and make sure I post that and that too, sharing everybody's stuff, trying to, get that out. And then I say my hellos on my own personal stream in the group, right? And then I do the sharing. So if you guys don't know, I have 8 I keep calling them channels, and channels is not right. I have 8 accounts that I share this stuff on, which is really, really important, the sharing, because the more shares they get, the more views they get, because I've learned that the algorithm will pick that up over the likes, over the comments. The shares are so important. And I just didn't see that getting shared enough. So I opened up every email account I have so that I can share it out. So by the time I'm done, usually your stuff is shared on 8 different accounts by the time my day is done. Then I've got to go back and start commenting, and it might not be full on paragraphs or whatever. And I try to look at the work and I try to make sure that, it's beautifully done or whatever I can do, because, there might be 10 posts in there and I want to make sure everybody knows that I am there. I see you and so forth. Right. So that is just my first at least hour or so. It takes at least that long to do that. So then I got to figure out, do I have things booked? Am I promoting, that we got openings coming up? What shows are coming up? I got to prepare for that. What guests are coming up? I've got to get their portfolios ready and their PDFs ready. I've got to make sure that I've got the promotions done. I've got to make sure all my StreamYard links are up. I've got to make sure that that is out there. And then, hey, by the way, do you even know I have a show? Because one of the biggest reactions why the shares are so important, my biggest number one comment I hear when, especially, and then I got to find artists, maybe they're not in our group, and ask you and invite you to be on, and maybe they're new, right? So I'm trolling, people love your art and I want to build a relationship for you. I'd love to have you on the show, right? So this is really, a major ordeal to do, just to be able to this. So by the time things are said and done, my husband says I work a good 34-hour job that he never sees me get paid for. But the amount of love that I give out, he's like, it's unbelievable. So this is a typical, I guess, day or week. And then on top of it, it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing something for the cooking show, sometimes that's a 2 or 3 day process because of all the filming and the editing. And, sometimes things aren't ready till the next day. I've got to go shopping for the special ingredients, that I'm going to cook for that day. I mean, it's just, it is. And then I've still got to manage my household, clean my house, help my son in his schooling, make sure my husband is well taken care of, because he is truly my first priority. I mean, no offense to all of you guys out there, but I would drop everything because of my family. That always comes first. So you guys are lucky that we get this much time that I dedicate to highlighting others. So that is basically, and then I still try not to live my life up on social media and try to really dedicate time. So like when my husband gets up for the day between like 3 and 5 before we even go to work, I'm all off social media, because that time is dedicated to him. Especially like on Tuesdays and Wednesdays when I don't have a show, there's reasons for that, because he is off those days and those days are dedicated to him. So if that answers your question on how busy I might be next, like I said, 30, 40 hours a week of doing this, promoting this, finding guests, and sharing spotlights.
So that sounds like an incredible amount to me. It sounds like actually more than that, but there's also costs that come along with doing this.
Yes, there is.
Just recently learned that. How important is it for those of us who want to support your show and to help you? How important is that for you to be able to count on us to do those things so that you can promote us?
Well, there are costs. It costs me a significant amount just to go on StreamYard. Then I have to pay for the X subscription, and then I have to pay for the Canvas subscription. I have to pay for all these costs a month. So when I am truly grateful, and thank you, JJ. He just gifted a cookie. Speaking of helping out, he just gifted a cookie over there on Pilled. I appreciate my friend. That helps. And it usually puts me to tears because I don't necessarily like to ask for that. I mean, my biggest things is, and sharing out the shows or sharing out the promotions so people are aware, because when it comes down to it, is I am doing this so that you guys can come on here and sell your artwork or sell your jewelry or sell your whatever, or change the community or whatever. It's literally honoring my guests so that everyone's aware of who you are. So it's kind of like, yes, are you promoting my show? But in the same hand, you're making sure that there are enough people watching so that you guys can have people that are interested in you and what you're doing or what you're creating, and maybe a buyer, maybe, something like that. That is kind of the whole point of all of this is, and also bringing real art back to the world, and showing how amazingly talented this whole group and this whole community is, unbelievably talented. But it usually brings my heart to tears because I'm grateful for the support, because it isn't cheap, guys. I mean, we're talking, by the time everything's said and done, probably a couple hundred at least, just a minimal cost to run this every month.
Now, I know that you do this. I know you do this to promote others, and most of everything you do serves others. I know for myself, I'm not really good at promoting my own art. But I wonder if people understand that for you to promote their art, you have to promote yourself so that there are more people that see these people's art. Do you think that people understand that that's what you're trying to do, or maybe they misconceive it. What is your opinion on? I I would have a hard time promoting my own self, uh, but it's necessary for you, for others.
I I don't think they understand. In fact, we have a little example of what just happened kind of on Thursday, which kind of made me slightly a little sad because I'm always trying to bring awareness. Like I said, one of the number one things I get back and comments, especially with new people, and it's like, oh, you have a show? Oh, you have an art group. So anyway, I can even make awareness that I have this going on. Hey guys, do you know I promote an artist every day? Hey guys, do you know I have artists on the week every day? So I try to throw that into the artist of the day when I highlighted you, right? And not necessarily for self gratification, but I figured if everybody, most of the posts that people share are the artists of the day. So let's bring awareness that we even have this group, that I even have a show that had this on here, and it has was probably the least amount of shares that I saw in the group in a long time. And I was like, I don't know if people mistook that as I'm just trying to promote myself, which in a way, me promoting myself is promoting you, because I don't want to see 50 viewers when you guys come on the show. I want to see thousands. And that requires your help. That requires you guys sharing this out. That requires you guys making awareness that there's even a show on here. So sorry that, thank you, Frosty, for being the guinea pig on that. But obviously I did that wrong, and I guess I'll go back to the artist of the day, how it is. But it's like I'm trying everything in my power to let people know that I even exist and that I'm doing this for others, so that again it brings awareness to you guys when you come on the show.
Yeah, and I know there's certain. It's one of the things that really distinguished the Honest Corner group for me personally versus others is that close knit family atmosphere. And I know we talk about this, and it's obviously talked about because it's honestly the truth. There's a lot of support amongst the artists, and that's what. Now there has been talk about keeping the group small, but to keep the group small means that you're not going to have that amount of support. And these artists, and a lot actually depend on selling out.
Right.
That's important. Yeah, we want to keep that group to a certain standard, and it's easier done with small, but also there's a balance that you want to get as many viewers and as many eyes on this art as possible. How is it like trying to balance that? Like, what are the ideas and your thoughts going forward to try to make both of those things happen?
Hold on, I told you guys bring me to tears for this kind of stuff. um Thank you, Frosty Princess and JJ, both you guys, for donating to the show. I sure do appreciate that. I love everything you do for us at Artist Corner. You're very welcome. It is truly a pleasure. Truth just changed something, which, I never made the group private. It was public. And if you guys didn't know, I was fighting off bots left and right because I want real people in there. I mean, I could have 500,000 people in the group and they'd be all bots. And most of those groups are, and just trolls. And I don't want that. I want real people who are involved to create this community and be potential buyers, be potentially inspired by your work and things like that. So just recently they changed it so that I can make the group public, but you have to ask permission. That has really saved a lot in the last month or so, because now I can go and say, okay, yeah, you're following 1,000 people, you got 0 follows and 0 posts, and no profile picture. I know you're a bot. No, thank you. You're not in the group. So that has actually helped. But for the previous, 2 years or whatever, no, I'm like, okay, this person's a bot and that's a person a bot. And I have to kind of go through too. I mean, yeah, I want to have a large group, but I want to make sure that these are actually real people and they're not going to come in and cause issues or cause problems. What are they, what kind of artists are they as well too? Or, a good person. I don't want hatred in the group too. So I've got to look at your profiles. It's the same thing when that's another thing as the artist of the day. You guys think I just have this art on hand. No, I got to go through your media. And sometimes that's like, a million memes before I even find your guys' artwork. I'm like, okay. And then I got to make sure that you actually, because every once in a while I get caught by that. Oh, that's not actually my painting. I'm like, I'm sorry, but you have 1,000 memes, and I thought that was yours, right? Because I don't have your guys' artwork on hand. Even when you guys come on the show, I kind of maybe keep that in an email file, but I don't keep that kind of stuff. That's your stuff.
Yeah.
But I really, yeah, I want the group to grow, but I want it to grow healthy and with real active community members. I'd love to see all 600 in our group be active, and thank God for the 50 that are.
Yeah. Well, that leads me to another question. With the Artist Corner Group,
What?
you have a great group, but a great group doesn't exist without rules.
Right.
And rules have to be, enforced. Maybe it's not at the forefront and people lose track of what they're supposed to actually post there. And it's not much that is, you have to keep out, but you have to be the one. Not only are you encouraging and commenting on everybody's art, which is incredible in its own right, and promoting everybody, but then you have to be the bad guy and go in if somebody's posting something that's not allowed. That must be difficult in itself. And I'm sure that might harbor some bad feelings and lead to other stuff. There is a lot that goes into this that you deal with that I don't think that we always appreciate and understand.
Yeah, I hate that part because I wish it was just kind of an open forum, but these rules have been in place for the whole time almost Artist Corner has been in here. And I want to be a place of community, sure. And that's what, I love that everyone should comment in each other's post things here too. But, there's a place for political stuff, and news. And, I'm aware of it, guys, but that's why we have our own accounts to promote that kind of stuff. I want it to be a gallery. So when people come in here are artists, they literally look and say, oh my gosh, look at all this. I want it to be a breath of fresh air. Like I want to get away from the political, and I want just how I feel. One of the reasons I go to Artist Corner is I want to start my day with beauty. And a lot of the news, good, bad, or indifferent, just doesn't put me in that state of mind. So to keep it that way, anything .gov, it's out. It's whatever. It's, and it's not that it's not great news or you guys don't want to share it, but it's like I have to, and very seldom do I have to delete a post. But yeah, or if there's hatred, sometimes I'm checking comments, and there's been a few people that have said some nasty things, and I'll have to delete a comment. I'm like, I just can't. I can't have that. I have to check to see if your guys' work is AI. I have a way of doing that. That's something else I have to do before I do the artist of the day. And I'm like, if it's an AI situation, then I'm not going to promote that. I'm not going to share that out. Maybe new members come in, and I got to make sure that you're not doing that. That's been a rule since the word go. And unfortunately, that's not always the greatest of people, that like that either. They have their own opinions on that, but that has been a rule in there too. I mean, I welcome prayer. I've had kind of fights about that, but I personally invited Mondo in there because there's so many of us that need prayer. So please put those in the comments, when you need that, because it's there for all of us, because I want that ability to be a community, but I want it to be, unfortunately, I guess I do have to be the bad guy, but I want it to be a place of peace, happiness, and beauty. And I want you guys to share your original works. I want to see pictures. I want to see descriptions. I want to see old stuff, new stuff, and continue to share out that you guys are amazingly talented. You guys are, and so that makes it sometimes difficult, but also very beautiful.
Yeah, I think you do a great job at that. I just think of how difficult that must be, and that's something that goes along with it that is unfortunate. But you're willing to step up to the plate and do that, and I've never been ever asked to be on any podcast before. My art never resonated with anybody else, so you do allow a lot of exposure and opportunities that you're not going to get in other places. And I know that. I've seen other communities, other owners of art groups literally say that you set the standard for that. And there's just a lot of negative stuff that goes along with that. And I think if you're addressing those, because I don't think that people really think about it that way on an everyday basis. I don't know if we go into it that much, but that's the kind of things you deal with. And finding artists, how difficult. I've done this a couple of times myself, and that's not always easy to just, hit somebody up and say, hey, will you be on this podcast? That usually requires, and at least in the cases I've done it, 2 or 3 different communications, and that's if they don't just tell you where to go to begin with.
Right.
Do you have any help with that?
No. Every once in a while, like you might throw somebody, JJ might throw somebody to me or introduce me to somebody, but it is almost a trolling in a way, and not in a bad way. I'm not, trying to bug them. It usually starts with building a relationship. Like, wow, your art is really beautiful. Having different accounts like Artist Corner TS, where I'm just sharing somebody so often and making comments, and then next thing I know, they might join the group, and it's like Mercy's a great example that was just on from Nigeria, right? And just sharing her out, commenting, and then she joins the group, and I just make a comment, love to have you on the show sometime, right? And she was like, all the way from Nigeria. She was like, seriously, me? But it's kind of building a relationship, and sometimes it takes a little while. So, this is why I'm booking out usually a month or 2 in advance, because in the meantime, I'm working on building relationships to invite new people to the show. And this is a constant everyday thing. And a lot of times you guys do point stuff out to me, and that's great. And that's great, and that's another reason for having more viewers and more people wanting to watch too, because sometimes they will look at my show and be like, oh, she's only got 200 views. Why would I want to be on a show that's that? And that's kind of hurtful too. When there's times I've had 1,000 of viewers and I don't know what's going on. Maybe I don't know, the forces are against me at this point. I don't know. This one, another reason why I need your guys' help to share out the promos, share out the word, so that we get more people to come and view and take away from a step away from that madness and just settle down and enjoy greatness that you guys all create. But yeah, no, I'm always on the hunt for good artists, musicians, photographers, you name it. And I bug a lot of people that still haven't been on the show. I'm like, you guys, and they're like, no. They still tell me no. I'm like, good example. We love TV Bear. I love you, my friend. But it took me 3 months to convince him to come on the show, and he just finally did. So,
I have done a little bit of that encouraging people, and the biggest thing I can tell everybody is, I was scared to death the first time that I came on. I'm like, I don't know if this is what, I don't know if I'm who Lady Hamilton thinks I am. But you made it so easy that, you just enjoy yourself on there. I don't think that there's a lot of people that are willing to push through that. But let's talk about the spiritual forces. I know that you made a shift to be more positive and to bring more positive news into people's life on your show.
Mm-hmm.
I was absolutely grateful for that, because if anything in this world we need more is positive news, because we're not getting it from any other outlets.
Right.
And there's enough hardships in everybody's life just getting through, especially now, than ever. And you made that shift to do that. And immediately you started getting that negative spiritual feedback from that and been under attack for doing so. I totally believe that's spiritual. I totally believe that. I know you're overcoming it. I'm praying for you. How real is that? How
That's really
is that being?
You guys, I changed my Monday show from being political to being a more of a humanitarian, good news kind of show this last month or so. And I went from 1,000 views to 200. I mean, it just boom, gone. And, no offense to the ones that want to do the news, but to be in that constant state of mind too, that puts extra stress on me. And it's not that I'm not aware. It's not that I don't share it out. It's not that I'm not active in my communities. It's, but that's what I believe. You got to be literally active. If you want to make a difference, get on your feet and go make a difference. I do. I go to the town meetings. I go and meet with my congressmen. I go and do this kind of stuff too. But to share that all the time and then feel like, okay, there might not be hope, or it's not happening fast enough, or just making you guys stressed out like I'm getting stressed out, right? I'm like, I just can't do this anymore. Because one thing that I grew up with is like, we're all the good news, that so-and-so rescued whatever, and someone's, whatever. And so I started really changing that. And literally my views of the show tanked from like 1,000 to maybe 200 overnight. And I feel like there is some kind of force out there that, I start seeing losing followers. I start whatever, the algorithms start making me disappear. And it's kind of like really interesting. Um, so yeah, I mean, I pray all the time. And I'm like, all right, God, let's break through this because, the devil can't win. There are amazing stories out there. There's amazing people out there. We just need to be reminded of that. And again, like this community, being there for each other, helping each other, sharing out each other, highlighting each other, doing whatever we can to fight through anything of this negative, right? Because so many times we talk about it being a spiritual battle. I truly believe that. And it just doesn't go after my show. It goes after my body. You guys may not know this too, but my body has been really badly under attack, and Nurse Patrick is going like crazy trying to do everything he can. I have specialist appointments because this is how they tried to take me out before. I mean, if you guys don't know, there's no joke when I say that I was paralyzed. I couldn't walk. I almost died, and I almost think that I'm on borrowed time. And maybe that's another reason I love to give back so much and highlight and serve others. I'm on borrowed time. And so when the devil can't affect me, personally or emotionally, he takes me out physically. And I have been down for the last, I don't know, few weeks, really struggling hard to fight the pain and the aches and all this kind of stuff that's about taking me out. So it's real. When you talk about this, it's real. And all because I want to, just share good news and be a positive light. I mean, it's crazy, but it's very real.
It's definitely. I've experienced some of that myself. Let's just hope the internet stays on. But all you do and all that you go through, all the things that we don't see, we're busy in our lives, and if we really stop and think about it, but we're not the one going through a lot of what you do. How frustrating, and is it every time that you think, is this really worth it? Am I making enough of a difference to withstand all this? I mean, because it's an incredible amount. And like you say, you're not making a living from doing this. You're just trying to survive, to promote others, service to others. You can serve others a lot of different ways. Is there ever times where you just get down and feel like this is just not worth it?
Yes. You're going to make me cry with some of these questions, Frosty, as of lately. Because when you sit there and you watch your numbers go down and you don't see things getting shared out and, things like that. Yeah. What does it do? Here comes the negative thoughts. And I try to tell you guys about that, wake up, make sure you talk positive to yourself, but here it comes. And it's like, am I even making a difference? Does anybody even really care? What in the world is happening? I don't understand it. And then when you don't feel good on top of your body physically feels good, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm dying. All right. I'm not afraid to die, everyone, by the way, because, I love heaven. I'm only afraid that I'm not doing something to serve the Lord, and I just want to make it in. But, I mean, there's sometimes I'm like, am I even making a difference? Does anyone really care? But I know I have to sit there and fight that and realize that, okay, who's putting those negative thoughts in there? And sometimes I need to go to a quiet zone. And like over Christmas, truly what kind of got me through a lot of these negative thoughts was literally binge watching The Chosen and staying close to the Lord. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to just sit back a little bit, and I need to really focus on what's important to me and make sure my heart's in the right area. And I'll be back. I'll bounce right back, with His help. But yeah, it is. It is.
And I know there are a lot of different podcasts on the platforms that you do. You just recently added to YouTube, and there's been talk of others. There is a lot of censorship, and there's a lot of cliques and groups that go along with that are part of that spiritual warfare.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people that do not want to see you succeed. I don't think people are aware of that, but I wouldn't be doing anybody justice if I didn't mention that today. And I don't know, I'm not looking for you to reciprocate. I just want to get that point out that there are those out there that do not want you to get their message. And it's not just spiritual, it's people that we might know. that has to be extremely frustrating. That now you're not only dealing with all the other stuff, but there are people actively, hoping you do not do well. So kudos to you for going through all of that and being able to just keep going. And you have bad days. I have
Mm,
bad days. If I have a bad day, hey, I don't have to get up and do and promote and share. You do.
mm-hmm. All right. Even if I miss a beat, I'll tell you whatever might think I'm dead or something. So apologies if I haven't, commented on everybody and whatever. I literally just kind of, and that's my hiatus. If I'm still liking and sharing your stuff, it's just like I just needed this past holiday to take some time, and you guys have no idea. I mean, on a personal note too, I mean, if you want to dive into that too, you have no idea what's going on with me and my children and so forth. It's not easy, and I don't necessarily share that kind of stuff out. I just kind of just try to be the light. That's what I always say, everyone, be the light. And I try to do my best every, but I'm human and I'm not loved by everyone. Trust me, I have some haters, which are, it's amazing, but I do. um and but I have to kind of figure out, all right, how am I going to get through this and fight through the negativity and continue to be the light. But it is, yeah, I do it
So
every day.
if you have those that want to help you, what is the number one thing that people can do uh, to support you in your efforts?
Let's make awareness that there's even a show.
Yes.
That's important, because again, it's not about, oh, I want to be the most famous person. It's I just cry when I go and I look at those numbers and I see that, okay, I just had you amazing guests on and I only have like 200 views. That hurts my feelings. It
Mm.
hurts my feelings a lot, because I want to see thousands of people come and see your guys' amazing talents and say, reach out and be like, oh, I want to buy this, or hey, can you make me this, or hey, how awesome is this? I want to share you guys with the world. So when I go, and like I said lately, I mean, even when I first started, I had better views than I'm seeing lately. And so, it's not about making me famous. It's because I want people to come and see how amazingly talented we all are. And so the best thing to do is not necessarily share out the actual show. I mean, you could do that too, but when you see promos or you make your own or whatever it might be like, do you even know that there's this amazing art group? Do you even know that there's this amazing night where you can step away from the madness and just join us in 2 hours of beauty? It's a great community. It could be inviting. So I guess that's the most help that I need. And then sharing, the wonderful work that we all do, sharing, like, the artist of the day or sharing the artist of the week, that you guys do pretty well. um but yeah, if you guys want, especially the people who are trying to make a living as an artist, if you want, buyers and things like that and awareness, then having more people come to the show is going to be in benefit for you as well.
Yeah. And I think that's important to remember for all of us. We hear you saying like, share, but it's really not for you. It's for everybody else that you promote on your show. And that's important. And I think that's the perspective that we should get out is yes, you're the one that having to say it, but it's not about promoting you. It's about promoting others and the platform that we have to get our work out there. I think that's important for people to understand. Uh, and I'm assuming, if people understand that, they'll want to do that, and it won't be, something we hear that on every podcast, and we sometimes look over that. But when you're trying to grow, that's very important, and I just say we all need to keep that in mind. Um, I talk about your art. I really started when I was preparing for the interview. I've looked at your art. It's incredible.
Thank
It's not always received because it's a very specific, a lot of your statement pieces, your emotions, that's really what I was drawn to when I was looking closer at your art, like preparing for this. I really looked at it in a different perspective. Emotion series really, you went from darkness, sorrows, you know, and you really went through rage, unity, light. But I love how you brought it back from dark to light. Um, I think a lot of your art is necessary. It's bringing awareness to a lot of situations that people don't want to think about.
Mhm.
You generally you don't post a lot of that, but I did see you won Artist Spotlight of the Week, and it was so genuine how surprised you were and how unexpected you were to win that. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, well, you should be getting tremendous amount of votes. But yet sometimes that art that you do that's necessary, but a lot of people don't want to look at.
Right.
They don't want to face that. Um, they don't get the you don't get the amount of recognition for that art. How hard is that being the owner of an art group and maybe not having that from other artists?
That's pretty hard. And I get it. Everyone wants to see beautiful pictures per se. I get that. Like the one that's sitting behind me that everyone loves so much. I really hate that piece. And people probably be like, what? Because I know it's beautiful and I put a lot of effort to it and things like that, but my soul's not in it. That is really pretty. And I work, it's still not even done. And that goes to show you the more I delay on a piece, the more I'm really not into it. And yes, can I do beautiful hummingbirds and roses? And yes, I can. And thank you guys so much for loving on that. But when you see a statement piece, there is such a huge story that goes behind that. I mean, it took 3 months to make a lot of those pieces and to work through that, to tell that story, to tell that history and whatever. And I get it. And it just kind of goes, because sometimes it might be just like, oh, I can't stare at that versus even zooming in and be like, what is this story even about? And I am more recognized, like the one behind me, Justice. She has been in 17 different shows. So it depends on the clientele, I guess. And the reason, I know that these aren't going to be hung up in people's houses, but they are really, that's why they're called statement pieces. They're really impactful. I've even gone to South Africa and stuff. It's like one leaders, in the world, right? And dragging these with me because of them requesting to do so. But it's hard. And, but it might not be something that's pleasant to you. And that's why I don't post them because I just saw that the reaction was like, oh, I can't look at that. So I don't want to freak you guys out. I don't want you to have to sit and go, oh my gosh, this is horrible. I can't look at that. So, I just kind of keep my posts pretty limited to, happy little pieces, and every once in a while though, like I create pieces like this when I've done a really, really hard one, like rape culture. That was probably the hardest piece I've ever had to create, but probably the most impactful one.
What do you think new artists today coming into Artist Corner? What do you think they think about the group? Do you think that's changed over time, or it's gotten better, or what? What is it?
I have seen it change. Um, I have seen it change. Let me just grab Nancy, you guys, and thank you so much for your rants. I do see them, you guys, and thank you so much. It means the world to me. Thank you so much for that. I've seen that. So let's welcome our newer ones a little bit more. I know that we kind of get in a zone where we really love on each other and stuff like that. And when I post somebody who's brand new, they might not get, versus the ones that are old schoolers like us. I would like to see let's make some new friends. Let's welcome them, and for the most part, we do. But it's kind of, I don't know what they see. I want them to feel welcome. And it's really kind of nice too when I do highlight a new one because their reaction is so genuine. And you guys are kind of used to it. I no offense, you guys are kind of used to that. But when you see the new person going, oh my gosh, and they get all excited, I really want to relish in that. That's more. And just, let's really start having conversations and bring them into our community because I don't want it closed. I want to grow this family. And I know it's been holidays and everybody's busy and everybody has a life, but maybe we take the time to comment on one person that we don't know too well and just be like, hey, I really stopped and really looked at your work today. And I just wanted to say, hey, welcome and things like that. Let's literally just start to dote on that. I personally would like to see that a little bit more. Other than that, our group is awesome. I think that we really, truly, and you like what Cindy said, from they call me pencil. She goes, I've never seen anything like it. what you're doing over there in this group and what you do for your group. She's like, it's unbelievable. Even in her group, you know, you don't see the likes and the shares and stuff like we do here. So thank you guys for that, because that keeps the community amazing. And we just need some more of that. So, you know, if I could just challenge you guys to do anything, is find someone maybe you don't know too well and go make a new friend, you know, that I like to see. And inspire each other to keep posting art. I can't tell you how many of you guys have been on the show and will have your work. And so many people are like, I've never seen that. I've never seen that. So think about the stuff you posted when you were first in the group 2 years ago. Re-show it, guys. You know, we want to see it. We really, really do. You know, and one other thing too is I like when you guys post, you know, do what you want to. I'm not in charge of what you want to post, but I've seen more reaction when you only post one picture at a time, because it makes people stop and stare and relish in that actual one piece and go, oh, wow, what is this? Sometimes you even know with the artist of the day, you know, you see the 4 that I do and they're like, oh yeah, I like the dog, right? Versus having that one piece where they just go, oh, wow. You know, and tell us a little bit about that. You know, hey, I use this kind of technique, or, you know, this one took me 3 months to make, you know, like mine, you know, kind of thing. So anyway, but yeah, I think our community is special. I don't see this, and you guys tell me in the chats, anybody see this in any other group?
I don't see that for myself. I don't see that closeness and camaraderie. I see a lot of art posted, a lot of great art. There's no sense of family or closeness that I see in this group, which is why, I mean, you know, I had all our groups in the world to choose from. I chose this one, and it was a special place. I think that that's the way it is for me. I'm sure others. And I've become really close and it's family at this point with a lot of members. And I would love it for be more. And I know we've talked about it, and I all wanted to have at some point some artist corner get together, and we'll figure that out eventually. But that's how close we are. I don't see that in other groups. I could be wrong.
Right. And I don't see the owners of the groups even, you know, they pick a few that they may like and might share out, but not everybody.
Well, I mean, they even tell you that. I've even seen those people tell you that, and about how special it is. And that's kind of what I wanted to point out, like how much effort you put into making it that, and some of the things you had to deal with. That's just in the art corner. That's just in, you know, that group on social media. But the podcasts take a whole nother level of commitment and work, and some of the shows that you put out. I mean, you generally, you try to help people in every area. You know, not only spotlighting art, but you do so much cooking to try and show people how, you know, these foods are bad for you. And I know for myself, that education, whether you think you're going to use that today, you might not have to, you might not be aware of it. I know my own personal self, I was diagnosed with diabetes and I had to learn that stuff, and I had to learn it on my own about some of this stuff because I couldn't get that. And you give people that. And I know Nurse Patrick has been a big part of that. And your health and healing shows. And I want to thank him for putting the time, because, you know, anytime anybody asks for, will you do a show on this? He's put in the work and he's put in. And I don't know. Nurse Patrick seems like he might be pretty busy too.
Well, you guys need to light up his social medias, because I'll tell you what, you know, probably my fault for letting him see the chats. I have my phone here, you know, so that he could see questions too. And when people ask for a certain show and then they go and they talk against it, or they kind of are teasing him, he doesn't take it that way, guys. He's very different from me, you know, and I guess he's got a real soft heart. He takes it as teasing and mocking. And he's not sure he's making a difference. He's like, I just keep repeating myself and no one's listening. And he's not sure he wants to come back on, because he only does it for me. You guys have to understand this. He does not like to be on the show. And he only does it because he loves me and he wants to help. So if you guys want him back on the show, I would light up his social medias and let him know that, because he's like, if you think I feel like I don't make a difference, he is convinced that you guys just think that he is, he's definitely, not somebody to listen to. And remember, he's a guest. He's not a host or a co-host. He is my guest. So just FYI, if you could do anything for me, please remember that Nurse Patrick is valued and a guest, and let's just kind of show him how much you guys do appreciate him. And so just, hey, throw him a little comment, throw him a little whatever if you guys can, and let's see if we can get him convinced, because he hasn't been on this last month, but he's been working 5 days in a row for this entire month, so that everyone he's the supervisor at the hospital. So that all his other nurses can get vacation and breaks and Christmas and New Year's time with their families. He is taking it off. Now, granted, I'm sure he gets overtime, but how many other bosses do you know that say, well, I'll take all of these holidays, all these extra shifts so that everyone else can get time off of their families? And he has been working 5 days straight for this last month. So I'm excited, by the way, you guys. Our 20th anniversary is coming up here next week, and he has 10 days off with me. So I'm super excited about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully Nurse Patrick will make a return. We'll show him that love, because he definitely puts out some great information. And, whether you're at the spot that you can, you're not going to maybe make every meal. You're maybe not going to be, but I can tell you, just the education alone, just knowing what foods are good for you and how to go about with the recipes of making them. They're there, and you can go back to them if you need to. And then hopefully you won't come up with something like I did, but the information is valuable, and there's not a lot of people giving that out nowadays.
Right. And the research he does for that. And you guys, if you want to think about this, Nurse Patrick saved my life. And by going, what can we do with food, with God's amazing food? What can we do to detox your body, to even bring you back from the brinks of death? Because I promise you, when I say this, I was a few months away from dying. And because of God and giving him that information and the ability that he loves to research and his belief in God's amazing foods and herbs, I'm here today because of that. So, and you might not need it. You might want to just put it in your arsenal. But, I guess the thing is, if you're going to ask for it, you don't have to, kind of, it's like, if you got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Just take it in and be okay, because you never know when you're going to need it. You never know. And I hope you guys never face a situation where you're like me and you're facing death because of toxins and chemicals in our food. I really pray that you don't ever have to face that. But he saved my life. I'm here because of that, man.
Absolutely. So exactly. I just wonder, in your thoughts, what do you see in the future? What would you like to see in the future for all your endeavors? The corner, the podcast. What are not only your wishes, but your expectations?
Okay, so it would always, I'm going to joke, it's always kind of be nice to be like, I would love to be so famous that, there millions of people are watching the show and you guys are getting to be professional artists, all the time. And you don't have to have these jobs. I would love for all of us, because we always have to be an artist, and we always kind of joke about that. I'm an artist and whatever, because you really have to work a job and you do art on the side. Few of us have been able to literally support ourselves through art. That would be kind of a funny joke, to be busy enough that you guys are all making money full-time as an artist. That would be a really good thing. I would love for us to be able to have some big event. I keep having this, this dream that we have some kind of big, huge expo where you guys are all out there, and I organize it. We got the food and the music and whatever, and there's a big, huge festival, and you're all there. I mean, it's a dream. I don't know how it's ever going to happen, but how cool would that be? Just have this major expo, and you guys are all, everybody in the booths are you guys, and for the whole festival with thousands of people walking through. That would be kind of fun too. But I guess awareness, we'll start small, right? Those are the big dreams. Let's start small and let's get enough awareness, going on that people even know that we exist. Let's make enough noise, everybody, so that everybody knows that the Artist Corner is here, not only here, but we're international. And, we are going to make a difference together as a community and a family.
Absolutely. Well, one day Lady Hamilton will be famous, and we all will be.
And I hope it's not one of those when you die, you become famous kind of things, guys. You know how they are with artists, right? All of a sudden your artwork becomes famous after you die. Yeah, I don't want that. Let's make some noise now.
Yeah, exactly. So, would you like to go through some of your artworks? Because I
Sure.
really,
You said you picked out 18. That's the only thing I did know, guys. Is he said, okay, I have about 18 that really caught my interest, and I have the whole PDF ready. You kind of describe them, and I'll pull them up. How about that?
I want to go through the emotion series first. I really, really was drawn to this. This is really, I think it's typical Lady Hamilton art, but it's so good. And I honestly, I looked at it a little bit different. And once you do that, it's not something I can do, but that just makes me appreciate it more. And that's what's great about the corner is I do one style of art, but there are so many different styles of art that I really appreciate. And I think it's just appreciating the stuff that maybe you don't do or you wouldn't do. Just appreciate it. Um, this just fascinates me, and I know how much time and effort you put into it. And the emotion series, I think, kind of captures that. That's one of my favorites.
Okay. Are we starting with the girl? Is that the one?
Darkness.
Yeah. And you guys, I've probably changed up these names a million times, but I had names for these at a certain point. Let's put this in a PDF present mode. Okay, this one. Is this the one you
Yeah,
want to start with?
yeah.
Right.
So,
Go ahead.
did you do these in order?
She was not my first one.
Okay.
No, the red and blue one that I called Rage at this time was my first one. But these all have certain stories to them, and I've learned certain techniques out of every one of them. But this was not my first oil painting, but one of the first.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of curious because I said I noted how it went from dark to light. Um, I didn't know if that was something you intended or just, but what goes in when you decide to do a series? Do you know ahead of time that I'm going to do a series, or do you do one and it leads to another?
Well, so the whole fact that I even ended up in school to do this, and I just want to say hello to you over there on Rumble. Hey, PC Native, thank you so much. Is you guys, before this, I was a chef. I wasn't in art school. And so when I kind of retired from opening up restaurants and running restaurants and being, general manager, district managers, all these kind of things, a restaurant consultant, I did this for like 25 years. So when my husband and I moved to Arizona, we bought this huge property, and he's such a service person. If you guys think I love to serve, he goes, so what are we going to do with all this property? He was like, what do you think about being foster parents? And I was like, that was really kind of hard on me because I was like, I've got to deal with these broken children and then give them back to this world. I mean, it was kind of hard, but that's not what God had intended for us. The ones that we ended up getting ended up being ours. We ended up adopting them, but they have been through some of the most horrific life I had ever read before. In fact, reading even their stories, going through this for 2 years with them, seeing how they came to me almost on death's bed was just heartbreaking. So I didn't know how to process this. I didn't know basically how to help them process this. And so when I say artist therapy, I'm not even kidding. So when I went to go create artwork, I started going because my husband and I were full-time parents and he was working. So I started taking community college classes. And so, and just finding an outlet for me to have a few hours away to just create and learn about, dealing with this. How do I paint this emotion? So as I started diving into this and learning about this, and when I finally found oils or so, and I love large canvases, I wanted to express their emotions. So this piece is based off of my oldest daughter. And she was basically at 5 years old, the mother of the situation. And I cannot tell you, I don't want to break everybody's heart, but if what you're imagining, it's 10 times worse. Okay. So watching her emerge from this darkness into this light, this is what this piece is about. And I'm also learning about oil techniques, right? So when I see this piece, it brings me so much excitement because that eye to me is unbelievable. It's like the first time I really nailed doing an eye. I love eyes and I love lips, right? And I nailed it. I nailed the lips. I nailed the eye in this piece, and they're just so dynamic. I learned how to do this dripping technique that is her hair, right? And manipulating the oils with different kinds of, oil paint with different kind of actual oils from walnut to grapeseed, and, and watching these techniques unfold, learning, how to do canvas or do skin tone, but not skin tone. So I'm learning these kind of things. So I'm very excited that I was learning my own style and technique, but I'm also telling a story. And she is rising and breaking through this world of darkness and emerging from it as I'm watching in real life her life change from darkness to a lighter path. So that's what this means to me. And a lot of people look at this and they're like, oh, it's called darkness and this is scary, but they don't know the story that goes into this piece. And also when I create these pieces, I am a person, and my professors all learn this real quickly, I'm a person that has to listen to music or be in the mood to paint these kind of things. So you guys have to imagine I am crying as I'm painting this. I'm listening to the saddest music possible, right? And on some of these, like I said, rape culture was the hardest one for me to do. This was not a research piece, this was just an emotion piece, right? But it took me several weeks to do this, and this is a 36 by 40. Almost my work is that size, but I am expressing something that I'm seeing and I'm kind of going through, but also trying to do justice to the life that I'm living and my kids' life at the time.
This may seem like a weird question. When I look at this, without hearing that story, what emotions do you want me to feel?
I don't tend to tell people what they feel. In fact, I inspire you guys to kind of go get your own interpretation of art before someone tells you the story, because I think that's what art's supposed to do. It's supposed to grab us and let us feel something on ourselves before now you guys all know the story, right? This one, believe it or not, when my art was up in a gallery, and when I did my honors thesis, this was up there. I had my whole emotions set up there. This was the one that drawed people to it the most. I don't know what it is about her, but so many people would just stop and she would grab their attention. She was so loved and so geeked out, by others. I was like, very interesting. And I would walk around like they didn't know I was the artist. I'm like, what are you feeling about this? And they'd be like, emergence. And, that's probably how I end up the way with, darkness, emerging from the darkness, and, coming out of the trap. And I would listen to what they would say because before I would even kind of name these things, but she grabbed their attention.
Yeah. How much does it take out of you to do a piece like this, the process?
A lot. In fact, when I was done with like my last statement piece, my husband, I was in such a depression. I could barely kind of get off the couch per se. And he goes, you got to be done with this for a while. This is literally taking you down. Especially when I do, you guys, this is an emotion piece. So when you see my statement pieces, you'll have to see that the research I do that goes into it is like a master's thesis, like a doctorate, to go and to find the research. So I'm doing accurate information in those works. So that's when I say it takes me 3 months to do something. It takes me 3 months to do something. And then again, I'm putting myself in watching those documentaries. I am listening to that kind of music. I'm whatever. These weren't not necessarily affecting me as bad because I felt like when I was done with the piece, it was almost a release of that, trying to explain that emotion.
Yeah.
But it did take a lot out of me. But also a little bit of exciting because I'm like, oh my gosh, I learned how to capture this certain style, that end up becoming one of my signatures.
Right. And it's one of the ones, and I think that's why I like the emotions, because I think we all go through that range of emotions in everyday life. We can all relate to that. But this one was the first one I looked at, and obviously it's incredible. incredible work. Um, I just, from my perspective, it's so much of yourself and your emotions and your feelings that you put into that I might not do necessarily with my piece of art, and the feedback that you get from them. That's a whole different perspective from say the way I look at art. But the sorrow painting, this was
Right.
another in the emotion series.
Okay. And I'm trying to grab all your guys' comments. I see them. I do see them, you guys, and thank you so much. I try not to share these because they're hard to look at. And the reaction I've gotten before is people, it's hard to look at. And I get that. So you want to see sorrow. Let me remove this so I can find sorrow. I'm not sure that these are in the order. There we go. Okay. So there is sorrow.
This
Okay.
one's
See,
really, this one's really profound to me.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't, it's just so clear, yet at the same time, the way it's muted in the sides, in the back, in the color and the form. What led you to this? What's the story behind this particular band?
This is a story of my son. He's the oldest of the three and has gone through the most torture out of the three. Um, so to understand his life, and he, on top of that, they have a rare disorder, and he's the most affected being a male. So he went through this, and he, again, being the oldest, so he went through this. And the rage, I've got two to him. Rage and this one are in kind of dedication to him and his story. I have never seen somebody that didn't know how to, I mean, how does a little child even express those feelings? They can't. And you would see anger, and you would see, all kinds of misbehaving and emotion coming out of him, and no words, and when I got him, he was like 25 pounds and couldn't walk and talk. And I mean, it was just horrible and on the verge of death. And so to see this, even choosing the green because he was so sick and having skin issues that were cracking and peeling and, all kinds of stuff. I mean, this is hence the lightning, having eye issues with one hand over the eye. But, on a good note of this, guys, you can see where I started getting my love of the planets coming from this piece. And most of these, by the way, are done in 2013. So you can see how I started learning how to manipulate. And in future, you guys were like, oh, okay, now I can kind of see some of the planet stuff. Even his eye is kind of like a planet, right? So you can start seeing where some things are developing, but as I'm trying to tell a story and trying to do justice to this. But, there's reasons, like I chose a certain color, like you saw the last one, blue, depression, fear, darkness, green, illness, trying to break through to this. I even had a fellow student, because I didn't know how to do hands at this time, guys. And I'm like, I need you to just sit there for 1 second and put your hand over your eye so I can try to capture, the like drawing part of this so I could fill this in, because I had no idea. So I'm learning how to even do, hands at this point. So it's just kind of fun. Like I said, these are all learning experiences, but I'm trying to work through these emotions that I'm dealing with 24/7 with the children as they're walking a new path and healing. Go ahead.
Do you, when you look at these now, go back through those same emotions and the same feelings back when you were first dealing with it?
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. And I get it. Like, H2O had put in there, so, you have a hard time looking at this because you just want to cry. Yeah, I get that. And there are some pieces that, like, I literally, in my studio, they're like in the back on the wall. And I never put these in the closets because they need to have a certain kind of care, right? Like physical care. You got to take care of them. I don't want them dried out. I don't want them ruined. So they're on the walls. And they're in orders a certain way because I might not be able to stare at this one. But this one doesn't make me as sad because my son lives with me to this day, and I've seen how wonderful he's turned out and overcome, so I can look at this and kind of be like, wow, he's come an amazing amount of way, and I do love the colors. And thank you, Ron. I do love the colors of this as well too. So, and the different techniques of this. So, yeah, this one's almost front and center. So, but some of them do, and you'll see that. I don't know which ones you want to show up, but there are some that I have a really hard time looking at.
Let's see those.
You want to see that one next?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you guys, forewarning, okay, it is not an emotion piece. This is the hardest one I've ever had to do. This is the story of my children and many, 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 many others out there. This one was done in 2019, I believe, 2008 to 2019. It's called Rape Culture. And going into this because of my children and going into this world and finding out about all these children, finding about human trafficking, finding out about the clients, finding about all this kind of stuff, the documentaries, the research, every single article that's put on here has been transferred and pasted. This is not a collage. Some pieces are. A lot of this is transferred on here, painted on here. But every single article had to be accurate. You know, it's unbelievable. Even while I was at campus during this, it was when, there's a huge ordeal with 5,000 boys in the Catholic Church came forward right at this time to talk about being raped. I'm like, oh my gosh. And there's one piece that's very backwards. It says every 98 seconds. And that was not on purpose, but my professor said, that's perfect. That's one of those happy accidents because it makes more awareness to this. And a lot of us think, oh, it's just, hey, white kids or what? No, usually you've got your children of color that are being wanted by a white client. Unfortunately, this is why I'm so against this kind of stuff. I'm such an advocate because I've lived this. And it's really personal. But, my professor was even telling me, you've got to get done with this piece. This one's taking you down because it was documentary after documentary, after article, after whatever. Not only raising children that live through this, now I'm diving into this world of hell to find out accurate information. And it was really hard, but this one has been at every single human trafficking event that I can think of too. She's also a very popular one because it brings such awareness. This is not something that you want on your walls. I know none of you guys want that on your walls. I don't even hardly want it on my wall. This one is like in the farthest corner that I have, so I don't have to stare at it. But the story is accurate and it's a nightmare. And I get that, guys. And I don't share this one very often. Maybe on like Human Trafficking Awareness Day or something, I might share this out because it is really hard for me to look at.
On some of the series, are they done? Can you ever see adding a piece?
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I can. I promised my husband I would take a break, but one of the things I liked about going to school is I probably could have had another degree in history, all the degrees I have, because they almost gave me an honorary one because I took in so many history classes. But I was sitting there learning about like what and what, and so I missed out on that, learning about these stories, good, bad, or indifferent, because I'm like, somebody's got to share these stories. And I'll share another one with you guys. We'll take that one off here and share another one with you. It's another human kind of trafficking one. Here we go. On comfort women. As I'm learning in history, I'm like, I never heard this story before. I never heard that 250,000 women were taken by the Japanese government and put into cages and used as sex slaves, during the World War II. I had no idea. And have a relative that went through this life and didn't know that until she was on her deathbed. And learning about this story, ordering the Japanese paper that came with this, and you guys can start seeing the dripping effect from the first one coming into this one, right? And being able to tell these kind of stories. And again, these four were, I have four that were really always used at events like this to tell these kind of stories. So I may not do stories like this, like the latest one I did was of Christ, right? But I love telling a historical story, whether it's pretty and it's not, because when you look at this, there are some pretty things about her. I mean, like, look at her beautiful eyes and her lips and whatever. But the closer you get to this and you read the articles and you see the girls in the cages and the whatever, you're like, oh my God, what the heck's going on in this?
Some of your art as of late hasn't gone into issues in some of the places. It's beautiful art, but is that as satisfying to you to produce art different from?
It's harder on me. Like I said, I can do it. Like the one that's sitting right behind me, if I probably dedicated myself to it, I probably could have got that done in a few weeks, and there it sits for months. Because I think, when I'm passionate about something like this, like the emotions that I was doing, I could whip those out in drying time. I might whip that out in a week because it's just like, oh, I got to get this out. I got to get this out. where I will drag my feet on something that I think is all pretty, and I can do it, but it may not be where the passion of me comes out. I am definitely a storyteller when it comes to a lot of my work, and there's got to be something like this coming soon. So
Good. I can't wait to see that. I'm excited for new additions to the series.
yeah. Which one do you want to watch next or look at next?
Take me. I enjoy them all. Take me through what you think.
I have 40 of these. Here's one for you guys here too. Again, learning about different techniques and manipulating material, right? This is called unity, and it's just literally, two forces coming together and being able to manipulate that. That is, it's literally dripping. The paint is dripping. It formed that lightning due to using, something like a mineral spirits or something first as a spray, and then putting and letting the stuff drip and form this kind of stuff. Blending and so forth with the colors on the end. I mean, this really just came together that way, enough to catch the dean's attention that I used to work for at graduate school, and she wanted this to be the cover of her book. And I thought that was really such an honor, and I think that's really cool. I don't get any royalties. I get my name on there. I haven't got any royalties or anything for that, but it still was such an honor to even be asked if this could be a book cover. And I had a lot of fun creating this one, and learning how am I going to manipulate the material.
And this is one of your artworks in the Emotion series, Unity.
Yeah, it is.
How did the book do? How did the book do?
Oh, it's great. It's actually a textbook. So all the students are mandated to buy it.
Nice.
Right. They don't have a choice. And I have a copy of it signed by her as well, too. But I'm the one that got help her edit the book. That was one of my jobs as her assistant, is helping her edit and stuff. So I kind of really feel like I helped write that book, and then my pictures on it. So I'm sure it's still being used as a textbook today, as, as a second language learner kind of situation. But yeah, a lot of people get to view my artwork as their textbook. How cool is that?
That's cool.
Right.
Really cool.
So amazing. Amazing. And again, I love to learn how to manipulate our materials, guys. There's a lot that we can do that it was really fun to do.
When did you start with the collages?
My first one was Justice. Well, I did like smaller pieces of collage and so forth. Let's see if I have something like that, because I really love to do collage work. Let's see what I have. But Justice was my first large format work on that. And here's like some of my beginning work where I would do just little, these are like kind of, what are they, 8x8s kind of situations, where I learned that I can manipulate and take art and turn them into, take magazines or whatever and manipulate and turn it into art. And it was a prompt by one of our, a great visiting professor. Most of my professors that were visiting were the best. Truly, they were. And I was like, okay, how am I going to use this? And what do I want to say? And you could still see that I had things I wanted to say. But putting them together and just learning that collage in itself can turn into an amazing, amazing art. So I really love learning about that. And so then let me remove that one. So doing that one, when we had, like I said, the first kind of one I did, and probably my most popular one is Justice, and she sits behind me. This was my first statement piece, and my first, what I call my thing of, acrylics and transferring and painting and detail, and then collaging, and then oils, and then the varnishing and the layers and layers of the glazing. And my professor, I remember the first time she saw this, she's like, this is the first time you have always blown away. This was in 2000, maybe I'm going to say 13 or 14, probably 2013, maybe 2014. I did her. And she is my most popular piece.
I want to, how do you go about, how does the idea in your head change and evolve to your final piece? What is that process?
Well, I'll see an image, and it's funny because what inspires me, I might see a profile of this. It's something like this, and I'll say, or I might see an eye, right, or lips, and I'll be like, oh, I really like that. But what my inspiration image never looks like what I finish up with. That all just basically comes straight from my brain. In creating, what do I want to say? I got to think about that. Is there a story I want to say? Well, I had living in the Southwest, living right there by the border, I was seeing all kinds of situations coming with children, um, migrants, our Constitution being crazy backward. I'm a Latin American studies major. I'm learning all about operations, CIA operations, that are going on in Latin American studies, guys, right? It was like kind of crazy, and so I'm like, I want to tell a story about this. I want to tell the story about the sugar trade. I want to tell the story about slavery. I want to tell, because I'm learning this in history classes, right? And so it's like, I never, and it was kind of an awe, but you guys, I went to like regular college. I'm like in my mid 30s going, what in the world? They never taught us this in class. They never taught, so, and all these teens or whatever that are going, young adults are going, they're like, yeah. I'm over there going, what? So, and I'm diving into learning more. And then it comes into a painting, and I'm like, okay, I want to find it. Then I start researching. I need to get this kind of piece. I want to look for this kind of thing. I want to print this image, I start looking for articles and whatever. And I want to print this and print that and put it together. And then it's very mathematical because I have to draw like the basic shape of her. And then I've got to piece the collages together to form this. So it's like, okay, I need 3 inches of this one. It's got to be cut to this point. And, it's right. I got all these different little pieces, and I'm cutting them to fit in order in this jigsaw puzzle of a situation before I can even do the oil painting, which is crazy, isn't it?
You should share your art more, Lady Hamilton.
Thank you. Thank you. I will try now that maybe I tell these stories. Maybe we'll be like, oh, okay, we see this kind of stuff. And it's just interesting, right? It's just beautiful. But I had amazing, and I love to amaze my professors at the time too, because they're like, well, where did you learn this? I'm like, well, you taught me a little bit about this and a little bit about this, maybe, and in my mind, in my experiments, this is what happened in return. So. And I will never sell her. In fact, it's crazy, guys, but I put $1 million price tag on this. My husband did. He goes, because it's your very first piece. It's your most popular piece. And if somebody wants to pay you $1 million, then fine, give it away. But I know you never will. If like, you're right. I've done a couple seldom prints for some very good friends. But that's it.
Do you have an idea for another one of these in your head right now? You say one day, maybe?
No, not necessarily at this. In fact, I've been, kind of thinking about dabbling in, but maybe even going back and getting another doctorate in history just to get inspired. Isn't that kind of crazy? And my husband's like, you don't need to pay that kind of money to go back and get inspired. Find a subject and start researching. I'm like, okay. So that might be the avenue, but I don't know. There's so many of these stories.
Well, I will be in trouble, and I'm not sure the title, but it happens to be Princess's favorite. The scale, the family piece.
Oh, okay, yeah. I
really love that.
I dabble in a little bit of sculpture. I'm not really big into clay, but I love wood. And there you go. That was a prompt at school. I did have some good prompts in school. That inspired me to think outside the box. And the prompt is we had to create a piece that represented our life. I'm like, okay. So you guys, I was born in September, sorry, hence the Libra sign. I was just had adopted my children. I'm at art school, and I'm very much about wrong and right? So there's the legal aspect. In fact, when I was little, I used to tell people I was going to be a judge. So that kind of, goes, but I built all of that myself. I cut out all that wood, even the gavel, everything, the platform. I built all of that. And so the eggs are the children, the 3 kids I have and how do I weigh art school versus taking care of 3 medically fragile children? So hence the scale, right? And family being the center of this piece.
Yeah, that's a personal favorite of Princess. I told her I'd make sure I had you comment on that.
Right.
Um, I know another piece that we've all seen is Weight of the World.
Yeah.
Uh, for those who don't know, could you tell us the
Yeah,
story?
let me. I'm grabbing you guys. I really do see your comments. It's kind of hard because normally, when somebody else is talking and I'm just flipping through their artwork, I can put your comments up here more. And I'm sorry about that, guys, but I am seeing it. Thank you guys for all the wonderful things you're saying. Okay, Weight of the World. Let's see. That's the one I used for the promo. This one, it was really unique as well too because I love printmaking class, guys. So how do I incorporate printmaking into my artwork? And so every single one of these planets was a different piece of print that I made, in printmaking class, sheets and sheets of just different colors, marbled colors all over the place. Even her overalls and t-shirt and tank top is printmaking pieces. And then I was like, all right. And I saw something kind of similar to this and it was probably like, have you guys ever seen the picture of like the girl and then they have the garden of flowers on their hair? Have you seen that, everyone? Where it's somebody has done a painting, but the tree or whatever is part of the actual art experience. I think that something like that is what I saw, and I really loved this kind of the tree in the bush was the hair, and somebody had drawn on the fence the image, right? And that's probably where something like this came from that I wanted to. But again, still thinking about children and especially my children and having so much weight on them of what they've gone through, how they're going to survive, their pathway forward, listening to their friends. It was terrible. I even opened up a program in Tucson called Servicio, which I helped kids find a pathway forward to different things, to college, to whatever, because I kept hearing, well, I'm not going to be anything, I can never get to college. I'm not smart enough. And I'm like, you're walking around like you're 40 years old with the weight of the world, hence something like this. So that is where this one came from. And I happened to be in a printmaking class during this time, as I had 30 little preteens going around the community, doing great things with artwork, working in the libraries, creating art, making, working in the community gardens, trying to give them a pathway forward all the way up to high schoolers doing this. I was part of an internship I did in my undergrad. And so, but I was listening to these poor little kids talk about having no pathway future, and they just felt like they had just so much on them. And I was like, wow, that little program I started actually got the attention to the grad schools. And I know you guys don't like to hear about Harvard and Columbia, but that's the reason Harvard and Columbia came after me, is because of that program and that internship I started to already start helping the youth at this time, showing that there was a pathway forward. And I tell them, you never know what you can be. And you've got to believe in yourself. You could be anything you want to be. You can go to college, you could start a business, you could do whatever, but already feeling at 12 years old that they are never going to be possible. I'm like, who's telling you this? Oh my gosh, the school system. I knew then the school system was crazy. And so this is where this one stems from. The weight of the world.
So you're a teacher at heart. Is there any desire to teach in school now?
Oh, I tried that path. Oh my gosh, for 4 years I had a private school, which I just kind of put aside. It's not shut down if people came and reached out to me. But I get it. People can't afford it. And I don't take government grants because they're always laced with some kind of whatever to them. And I'm one of the cheapest. But yes, I love teaching the youth. I love teaching my own kids. I love being an educator. When I go on interviews, which I've done several times, and I go and speak to these, people in the local school systems. And as soon as we have the interview, they know. They're like, because I ask them questions. I'm like, so what do you do to help with I'm too educated. What are you going to do with the literacy rates? What are you going to, why are we focusing on their emotions when we could be teaching them pathways forward? How come you guys ever talk to them about scholarships moving forward to trade schools and high schools? And then they start asking me about disciplinary action. I go, well, what's your disciplinary action? And they're like, well, you can't put your hands on them. I'm like, I never said I would, but what if a teenager is beating the heck out of me? I can't stop them. And I'm like, what do? You have a safety officer? No. We just call the counselor. Well, what's the counselor going to do? Like, so it's unsafe for the children. It's unsafe for the teacher. And in the meantime, they're still not changing the way of showing these kids that they could be anything they want to. We live in a time where you, with the right guidance, can be anything. You never know. But we stunt their potential, and hence why I opened up my school. And if that ever bloomed up again, be more than happy to do that, because it was also art integrated. And I had fun the first 4 years doing that. And watching these students have some kind of art assignment in every single one of their classes, whether they were science. But it's not just me. I got to pay other teachers, and I do have teachers on standby that really helped and were amazing. And we would take them to conferences and all kinds of stuff. I mean, I had a really great, and still had an impact. They still keep in touch with me to this day. But if that ever caught people's attention, I would totally start that back up again. Yes.
There's a painting that I'm really intrigued with. Who am I now, or this time?
I missed that. Tell me that again. Sorry.
It's Who Am I This Time?
Oh.
In the collage series.
Oh, who am I this? Oh, you mean I am here?
Is that it? No.
It's a collage?
Yeah, it's in the collage.
Who am I this time? I'm not sure I know that one. Let
me
see.
Is on.
Yes. Okay, this is my first kind of collaging work. Right. The blue guy. Who am I this time?
Yeah.
Right. Then we change multiple hats as we go through life.
Okay.
Right. And that's kind of like.
How long does this take?
Oh, I don't know. These were assignments, so I probably got these done in each one within a matter of a couple of weeks, probably for the assignments. These aren't very big. These are like 8x8s. And you really got to get busy on this kind of stuff. So, and I had to come up with 4 totally drastic assignments, totally drastic, different messages, and having dominant colors in each one. I could choose the dominant color, but they had to be like, if you're going to go with a green one, it had to be fields of green, right? Or fields of blue. And so, I don't know, just looking through magazines, and certain images would come out at me, like that little guy and that saying with that little guy with the hat, and I cut those out. I love that little saying. As you can see, these fractured images of all these different things that you might be or once was or could be, right? Who am I this time? The next one, as soon as I saw that guy with his finger like that, and I saw the word silence on something totally else, I was like, oh yes, silent, don't talk, don't share that, don't be, we don't want to hear from you, just be silent. I thought it was great. And then just fun one about art being fractured and all the things that go through my head on creating art. That one is that one, right? Kind of like I have a million different ideas I want to do that spin off in my head all the time.
So do you think that you were the same artist at heart before you went to art school than after? How did you change?
With art? Well, I think being a chef really led into that creativity, and having my parents, my mom was always creative, and she would always make the most amazing stuff out of the craziest stuff, right? But being a chef, I love that creativity of what I could do on a plate. And so what was around me, it's like I wanted to go learn a little bit about art. And like I said, I needed some outlet. I needed some kind of therapy. And I was like, okay, whether it's writing, I love poetry as well, which I do. And just kind of having this outlet of taking all of this and putting it out on there while learning new mediums, while learning drawing, while learning, watercolor or painting. And trying to do the best, because the teachers weren't always the greatest. They give you an assignment, you kind of have to figure it out yourself. I'm like, okay. I had a few of them, that would kind of show me the way, but not a lot of them, so it kind of forced me to think outside the box. I guess I've always kind of been that way. But yeah.
It's absolutely amazing to see all the different styles of art that you can do. And to know that you write poetry. And I haven't seen any, Lady Hamilton.
Really? I've shared some on Poetry Day when I do, highlight Medium Monday. And that's another reason, guys, why it's so important for us to share out our work. Because how many times have we felt like I've shared that, but not everybody has seen that?
Exactly. Yeah.
So please reshare these kind of things. And, every once in a while, I'll highlight poets for Medium Monday. And then, I have a few, but I used to love that. I used to recite poetry with the children, memorize them, and I would say that to the kids, fun ones. I love Silverstein, right? And I definitely knew the one "It's Hot," and I would tell my kids because we lived in Arizona, and we just joke around, and I found that was another outlet, especially for one of my daughters. So one of my daughters loves to sculpt, one of my daughters loves to write, and the other one, my son, is into drama. Okay, so they all found an art outlet that helps save their lives. And writing is awesome because you can let it out, whether it's a journal or poetry. You can burn it if you want to let that emotion go, but it's just so therapeutic. And so introducing my own children to this outlet, as I'm learning how therapeutic art is, I'm also showing them how therapeutic art is as well.
There's a little bit of artist in everybody, huh?
I agree.
In some form.
I agree. Yes, I agree. Dada, I see that. He says, I think artists are poets in one way or the other. And good night, Bees, and good night, Kate. Thank you guys so much for coming. I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate it. And there's something that we can all do, and we should all try different kinds of things. That's the great thing about it, is we need to truly, and maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but you never know until you try something, right?
I know that for my own, I'm going to try anything, and I want to try anything, even if I don't want to do it anymore after trying it. I gain a new appreciation for it.
Right.
And there's always some way it helps me in doing what I want to do. I learned something that I can cross over into what I want to do. I think it's just, it doesn't have to be your identity or anything. Trying it is just, hey, now I can look at this type of art I understand a little more about it.
Right. I agree. I have always lived the kind of life that you're already at a no. What do you have to lose? I've taught, my students and my children the same way. You're already at a no. If you never try, you never get a yes, or you never get whatever, right? You're already there, so you have nothing to lose. And it really helps when you have children, especially when you want to try all these different things, and introduce them to it's like, let's try it together. Let's try this together. It's funny. It's funny, but it does help, guys. And then, I homeschooled my kids for a long time too. So I was like, okay, we're going to do this art. And that's probably where art integration, and that's one of my degrees, is art integration. And I was like, oh man, I love that, from music to drama to dance to poetry to, artwork, and integrating that into actual education, because it brings in so much extra critical thinking skills, and it's fun. It's retention. And so that was really fun to do that with my kids as well. So what pieces do you want to look at next?
Well, you said, who am I? The one piece that I was trying to describe.
That one we looked at is what am I now?
Yes, the fingerprint.
Yeah. Oh, you want to do the fingerprint? I'm going to show you guys this one real quick here too, just to show you that these all were in festivals. This is one of the flyers. That was the Human Rights Arts Festival at the university. And you can see, and there were all of kinds of artists, but these are the ones that got highlighted, just to show you guys. They were pretty awesome. So, you got to know your place and where your art's going to be needed or shown, and go find those people, go find those whatever, and do it. There's so many different avenues, whatever your art is speaking to, find that group, find that place, and go get your artwork there. Okay, so the fingerprint. Okay, this is in drawing class. Oh, this is like 2000, like 11-ish, guys. Okay, right? I just thought this was awesome. I wanted, we're all uniquely designed. This is my fingerprint. And so I just literally, took it, and I was like, okay, now we got to enlarge this thing. This thing is huge. It's like a 20 by 24. And just kind of like, God's way of saying, hey, here you are, and how individual you are. I'm like, yep, I am here. I am here. And this is how, because I'm uniquely made. Our fingerprints are unique. Every single one of us. I thought it was really fun.
Then this was like way back as far as art that you have on your website, which is ladyhamiltonart.com, where
Right?
all your works are posted. Or
Not
a lot.
all. I need some help on that. That's one thing I do not have time for, guys. Is my own website needs some massive assistance and updating, but I don't have time for that yet. I should make time, but I don't. But yeah, this is one of them. Thank you, Leland. Oh man, he's an amazing artist too. Well, you all are. But this was just kind of fun. And I can't even remember what the prompt was for this, but maybe it was, right? I do that. But right. God made us all so unique. And I just wanted to let everyone know, yep. And that's kind of like his little stamp. Here you are. That's
I
right.
like
I
it.
am.
I like it because you can see the actual identity behind this, and and that's what I love about a lot of your artwork is the actual meaning behind it. It might present itself as one thing, obvious thing, but then there's a deeper meaning.
Right.
There's double meanings. I
The
love that.
colorblind artist, Ron, you'll probably appreciate this. I was asking here, what medium is this? This is just a ballpoint pen, guys. Black ballpoint pen. Pens. I don't know if I went through one enough with this ink, but that's all it was. It was just a pen and ink assignment. Not ink per se, but yeah, just a pen. Yeah, I guess it was pen and ink, but still, yeah, ballpoint pen. Here I am.
This
And
is
I've always loved to do large pieces too. I don't know if I ever, very seldom. I do have a small one that's recent. It was a gift, but and I do some of them. They're small. And I've been doing that more recently because I have no room on my walls anymore, guys. But I've been giving them out for gifts. But
so. Was
no,
that
I go. I like large pieces. Go ahead.
so? Is that just instinctual, something that you just always did, or the
Maybe it's like if I'm going to create something, I want it big enough for the world to see. Larger
right?
than life kind of attitude, I guess. You know, I don't want nobody squinting. I want to be able to, and I don't know. For me, I find it easier. And I just marvel in the ones that create masterpieces that are so small, right? Because I'm just like, wow. But to me, it's like it's just so tedious. It just gives me so much stress. I'm like, yeah, no. It's really hard for me to do that. But yeah, there's something about having that freedom of something large. And to me, I don't know. It's what I like. Were the blobs intentional? Yes, they were, Donna. Yes, they were. A lot of fun.
Are you currently working on art piece?
You probably need to finish this one. It just needs some glazing. And that one will be done. And then I do have one that I've been kind of looking up inspiration because I promised a friend that I would create something for them. And I have some things in mind, but I've been looking at inspirations and I've got to kind of draw it out. And I don't know, I'll probably start in acrylic and finish it in oils. But it's interesting because when somebody commissions you guys for something or whatever, or you need it, somebody's birthday's coming or whatever, aren't we inspired to create it faster? You're like, all right, let me get the stuff. If it's just going to lay around the house, it could sit here for months, right? But I'm like,
Right.
oh, okay. Everybody, we need more commissions out there, everyone. Please, it makes us create art faster. Just saying. That's awesome.
Um,
Yes.
Speaking of commissions, that's not the easiest thing. I want to shout out to everybody that does commissions because that's a lot of pressure. I found out, and it's. I know I like to just go, and this is what I want to paint.
Right.
Is that do you do a lot of that commission work or
Me?
yeah
No.
no
No. Oh, really? Wood Geek says that. I don't know about faster, but it makes me try harder. That's what Zen says. A Wood Geek says some of my commission work takes longer time to fuss over the details. Yeah, I see. We're all different.
yeah.
That's really interesting that you guys say that. No, I don't usually take commission work, especially like when people see that you're an artist, they will say, hey, since you do this, will you do a portrait of me or a portrait of my animal? And I'm like, I'm not that kind of artist. You know, first of all, no, I am not a realism kind of person. And I can refer you to some amazing artists that are, you know what I mean? But that's just not me. I mean, because like I said, if I showed you an inspiration image, let me see if I can look something like that up. Let's see. So we have the fence girl with the garden hair. Let me see if I can show you. Oh, that's not even giving me what I'm looking at. I will kind of like see something and I'm like, okay, oh, okay, that's kind of close. So let me show you. Whoops, no, that's not the one. Stop sharing. The Weight of the World. And I'm not saying that this something like this caught my attention when I was thinking of her. So you guys can see this girl right here. Whoops. The girl with the purple hair. You see what I mean when I'm seeing like, okay, I want to do an afro on this girl and I want to create it with all these different papers that I made and I want to make planets, but I want it to be this enormous afro over this girl, like a weight on her head. Now, did my picture look anything like this? No, but see, something like this inspired me. And then, so you know, my brain goes a different way, right? Whoops, sorry. There we go. My brain goes a different way. So you guys, it's really interesting what inspires me. Oh, thank you so much, Try. I love him. Love you guys so much. Thank you. Let me pop this in here. You guys are awesome with your amazing support. Please don't forget to share the promos and hit that like button. Thank you guys so much.
Share button.
That's right. Thank you, Try. Oh, that went too fast. He says, we all love you, Lady H. Thank you so much. I love you guys too so much. But see how different that is, you know, when I see something and I'm like, oh, I like this little part. And like I liked how the hair was enormous over her. But then my painting looks nothing like that. So if somebody say, hey, can you do a picture of me? It would look nothing like what you want an abstract version? Sure, maybe. But if somebody says it's my birthday and I get something and I'm like, oh, I really like that. And I will show you one if you want. Speaking of birthdays, I did this for somebody's birthday. Let's see if they say anything in the chat. This is a 9x12. This was so hard to do. And the inspiration image that I saw for this kind of looked a little bit like this per se, but nothing like this.
It's like microscopic, Lady Hamilton, for you.
My hands would shake. And I'm like, oh my God. No, okay, I really love you. I really love you. I'm going to do my best on this, you know. And it was fun because I got to take in something I had never done, you know, a scene like this before, but I got to do the planets. I got to do some kind of clouds. I got to do, you know, I've never done a sailboat before, ever.
Well, you nailed the sailboat. That's the first thing I thought. How hard the sailboats are. You nailed it.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. And it was just so, wow. It was just so crazy because I just wanted to do something and I saw some kind of image that inspired me. It was something like this, but I think that the background was more, it was not even nighttime, right? I think the boat was bigger. The planet was probably smaller. I have no idea, but it was just something like, oh, I kind of like how this is all kind of put together in a way. Let me do my version of this. And then I had pressure. I'm like, okay, I only have a few weeks to get this done because I want it to be done for their birthday. And so that gave me some inspiration. But I'll tell you what, some of you knew that I was in there going nuts, going, okay, this is so small. So small.
Well, you know, the world needs more Lady Hamilton landscapes. More landscapes.
See, but it's still not your typical landscape where you are so magnificent at doing realism. Mine is more of a fantasy world, you know, kind of situation.
So, speaking of one of your favorites, the planets. What is it about the planets that you love?
Oh, well, first of all, there's so many things I could have been. And I could have been an astronomer. I could have been an archaeologist. I could have been, you know, all these kind of things because I just love, you know, I love the color of space. I love nebulas, right? Aren't they beautiful? I love, you know, how God is such an artist. I think that that's first and foremost. You know, God is the ultimate of artists, and the colors and the, you know, the spectrums and just how everything is put together. And so I'm just always baffled by that, you know. And so, and then I love to work with palette knives. And so when I was painting with acrylics, I had so many problems with working with acrylics, right? And with a paintbrush and acrylics. And then I had, again, like I said, I had 2 or 3 visiting professors that came into my life, and thank heavens for them, because they're the ones that really taught me. Right? And I got to learn about how to use a palette knife during a prompt. And so this is a 40 by 40, and I have about 3 or 4 of these different kinds of things, and everything on here is created with a palette knife. I'm like, oh, this is fun. This creates texture. I don't have to be so, in detail. I can literally just whack, whack, whack. I can grab a few different colors together and just go boom, 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 right? And I don't have to be meticulous. I don't have to, a palette knife is so freeing, guys. And it's amazing how well it makes a circle, because with a paintbrush, you're like, okay, I'm not no Yo-Yo Kusama, right? I can make a perfect little circle. I'm like, somebody give me a cup so I can draw. With a palette knife, it was just like a motion. I could just go, whap, that's half the circle. Whap the other half of the circle by grabbing multiple different colors and just dab. And so it was so freeing for me to learn about how to use a palette knife. So here comes the planets. So you take something that I marvel in and something that I just like, wow, God is amazing. And how did he come up with all these different colors and all these different whatevers, right? And voila, all of a sudden this series was born. And whenever I want to do an artwork that's just real quick and real fast, I always go back to the planet, because I find it fun, easy, and amazingly not complicated, but there could be so much color and texture done into them. And to me, they're easy. I can whip out a planet in a few minutes and have so much fun with that.
I totally relate. I want to do so many different things, but when it comes down to time, which I have very little of, and just wanting to enjoy painting, I always go back to that same thing. I think that's important.
Right. We have our comfort zones, and certain things, and that's okay too. I think that's really great. But yeah, like when we do paint and sip nights, I'm like, okay, I'm doing a planet, because I know what I can do it without fail and without, because if I had to do something else and you guys saw me stumble through that, like that happened once when we did that. I literally, during the break, I was like, I literally went to the sink and washed off the whole canvas. I'm like, this has got to go. And then I came back and I just whipped out a planet real quick. I'm like, see, but that is my go-to, where I find my kind of easy work, I guess. That's funny.
So what is the routine when Lady Hamilton decides, I've got 2 hours to paint? What do you, I know you are, cleanliness is important when it comes to painting. You suit up, you put the gloves on. What is it goes on with that?
I don't do either of those. Quite the opposite. I am very clean. I'll tell you that. I can't stand to have gloves on my hands. And I do the opposite. I put on like a tank top, and I have overalls that are, really kind of loose with string kind of things. I put my hair up into a bun. But everything else around me is immaculate, down to my where I put my paint. Everything is absolutely I've got my Clorox wipes. I got my baby oil when I'm using oils, and I've got towels like crazy. I even had my professor show me that you could take towels, like a strip of paper towel, for instance, and you can even put them into like little sections of 4, just make strips, so you're not using the whole thing at once. Because I'm like, okay, I need one entire paper towel to clean one brush. she was a conservative. I love Audra, but no, everything is really clean. If it spills out too far, I'll mix my paints and then put it into a jar, and I'll just take out whatever I need at the moment. If I got any paint on my hands, oh my gosh, here comes the baby oil. I got to go clean. It's just kind of really interesting. So my surroundings are really organized and really clean. And so if I find time to paint, it's usually the middle of the night or first thing in the morning. I used to paint at 4 o'clock in the morning, before school, before the kids, before all of that. When I was in school, about 4 o'clock in the morning, my coffee, my music, and my painting. Now it seems like it's more of the middle of the night kind of thing, if I actually ever have 2 hours. Sometimes I'm too exhausted, but that's usually when it is. When I can find time to be in my zone and not be disturbed. When you have little children, isn't that hard, guys? I mean, right? Because they're like, hey, mom. Like, I did love going to school for one reason, for many reasons. But one thing I loved about art classes, whether I learned anything or not, it was 3 hours that was dedicated to nothing but painting. So if you guys can ever go to a art community class or whatever, go in, you can audit it, which is usually pretty cheap to do, just so you have dedicated painting time. I'm looking into maybe even doing that so that it's like, hey, you get to, and I had a professor tell me that too all the time, say, how lucky are we that we get to have 3 hours uninterrupted time to just focus on painting? And I kind of miss that a lot, because life is always all the way around you, happening.
Kudos for getting in the zone at 4 a.m. because that's never going to happen with me on anything.
But I did. Well, it was more when I was in Arizona. There's reasons to that as well, too. There's things that I really miss about Arizona, and especially Tucson, is because the sunsets they're so famous for would also be in the mornings in the Tucson area, more than I saw anywhere else in the state. And trust me, I lived everywhere in that state, northern, middle, and southern. And in Tucson, in the mornings, that sunrise would come, and those colors of those afternoons, those bright oranges and pinks and whatever would be there in the morning. My kids, you have to understand, I would have to get them up and get them ready for school hours before they would catch the bus, because they had 13 different medications and topicals and baths and bleach baths and breakfast. So by the time, I'm like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock getting them up, I'm lucky if I had any time to myself by the time that day was done. So that was about the only time so I could watch the sunrise. I could have some beautiful calming music on, watch the beautiful colors arise, and be inspired. And my husband took his garage and gave me half so I could open up the garage door. The weather was, not too hot yet at that time, and enjoy that time. Because by the time 6 o'clock rolled around, I was in full mode to bleach, medicate, breathing treatments, you name it, pack lunches, emergency, backpacks, everything, because they needed all this stuff at school too, making sure they got off to school right, and then, boy, life got started.
How many hours a night of sleep does Lady Hamilton get?
More now than I ever did. It depends. If my husband's working, only a few. If my husband's home, I might actually get 8 hours of sleep. If you guys see that I haven't posted the artist of the day until like 10 o'clock, I'm like, oh, the husband came home and went to bed. And it's just something about having your husband in the bed with you literally just brings you comfort, right? You don't need to be awake to know that the security's there. And so that brings me such comfort to sit there and go, okay, my body just senses that he must be sleeping there. And I'm like, all right. And I'm like, I have the best sleep in the world when I know that those few hours, he's in that bed sleeping next to me. It's interesting. Princess says she's the same way. See, I'm not alone.
I knew exactly that. I can't see, but I knew exactly that's what she was doing when you said that.
Dad is a night owl painter too. That's right. We need to have a paint and sip at midnight, guys.
That would be so much fun. I can go late, just early I can go.
Right. But that's kind of, it's like when you have the quiet, when the things are done, when your house is clean, dinner's over, dishes are done, everyone's basically asleep, and you can, have a little time to yourself. I find that more now than I did when, again, with the kids, I was exhausted because, again, that routine would come home. Okay, you have the homework, you have the whatever. If this is when they were at school, then back to the bleach bath, and I had to bleach everything in my house down every single day. And I'm not talking just the doorknobs, the walls, the beds, the bedding, the children, the refrigerator, the cabinets, the doors. Everything, because they couldn't handle germs. No joke. For 2 years, I had to do that. Yeah, they're toys.
It's amazing to me. The amount of work that would just every day doing that. It's always amazing.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, that's why, 4 o'clock, you'd find that time, because I'd be dragging my butt to bed. I'd be like, I'm so exhausted. What time is it? What do you mean? It's like 10 o'clock and I'm just now getting the kitchen clean after the kids, whatever, and okay, here we go with and then if I had studies on top of it, you guys, I was a double major too, and most of this time too. So that means I was a Latin American studies major and a fine arts major and an honors program. And I was almost a history major at this 3 times. So I was taking like 3 different kinds of things all combined into one time and raising the 3 medically fragile children and trying to be a great wife to my wonderful husband. It was crazy. It was a crazy 15 years.
So you have always been insanely busy. Always. Is
Yeah.
that just you? Is that where you
You must
feel?
be, because before that I was a chef. I used to work 100-something hours a week. I would
Yeah.
get to the restaurant at 3 o'clock in the morning and start with all my pastas and breads, and then I'd start on the desserts, and then I would start on the line and all the main stuff, and I wouldn't leave the restaurant until about midnight or 1 o'clock. I would actually close the restaurant between 2 and 4 just so I could take a nap. And I would do that 6 days a week, only close 1 day a week. And that one day we were closed a week, we usually do deep cleaning in the restaurant. Not that my restaurant was dirty by any means, but yeah, I've always been super, super busy.
Yeah. Is that before you became a chef? You were like that, and you just always inherently like that, or you
Well, I
just
was in the restaurant business ever since I was like 16 years old. So yeah, I was always one way or another. But my mom was like, idle hands, kind of one of those moms. We're always busy. We always had gardens, yard work to do. She was always busy in our churches too. So we were always coming up with fundraiser, making crafts, doing something. We were very, very busy people. So I'm sure that came from them. I don't remember that woman hardly ever sitting, ever. I'm like, all right, here we go. So life's too short. Take advantage and do all kinds of things, I guess. I do miss doing the restaurant though, like crazy. That's probably one of my biggest sadnesses, is that I don't have that to this day. That was so much fun.
yeah.
Yep. 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 So what other questions do you have for me, my friend? This has been fun. A lot less scarier than I thought. I was like, what is he going to ask me? I'm going to have haters by the end of the show. I don't know what he's going to ask.
You know, you know, Frosty makes it easy, Lady Hamilton.
Yes. Yes, you do. Love it.
And now I just want to thank you again for the opportunity and being so open, allowing me to ask the questions without even knowing, just having that much faith in me. That takes a lot of courage in itself. But I just really wanted to honor all the work you do. I hope everybody understands and what you need from us. I hope that that message is not lost on everybody. I know it's hard and everybody has life, but for all that you do for others and the reasons is just to promote others.
Yeah.
If service to others isn't something we can honor, then I don't know what is, because there's not a finer example of somebody who literally works every day on so many different platforms to promote others and their work, and not for money, not for, any of that, other than that's a service to others. And I love the message, be the light.
Mm-hmm.
I think you are definitely not just saying that, but you're providing that example.
Thank
I
you.
hope that I can in some way try and do as well. Um, but yeah, I just love everything, every opportunity you've afforded me, and the appreciation I have for you. I know it's shared by so many. And I just hope that nothing but success comes your way. And if I can help in any way, I'm always there for that.
Well, thank you. It is literally about building each other up, right? You ever play the game with the monkeys and the with the jar, and everybody grab they make a chain kind of thing. And I know that's a terrible kind of example, but it is. It's lifting each other up to the light. And one might need it one day, we all might need it together. But it's not really. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm selfish. Like I want my show to be hugely popular. For me, it really isn't. I want to help others. I want to serve each other, and I want to lift everybody up and promote everybody, because we're facing, so much everywhere you look. There's darkness all around us, and we talk about spiritual wars all the time and all this kind of craziness. And that's why I love having our community. That's why I love showing you guys off. I'm like, look at this beautiful stuff, instead of going, because. And there's great news out there too. Don't get me wrong. Trust me, I'm trying to find good news on Monday too. But there's good other news as well too. But there's so much bad too. and it just can be draining. So if I can be that light through my show and be that um, ease, a place where people can just find some refuge, or a few minutes where they can just be like, oh, okay, I don't have to worry about any drama. And then show you guys off, let's continue to just grow together and get the word out. And I hate to sound like, because I don't like, we all hate to promote ourselves. And I try, I try to bring awareness of what we're doing here together and what I love to do. And that is really to highlight you guys and all of us together, because I think of us as a wonderful community and family. And so it is really, when I say it's my honor and my pleasure to do so, it is. And it's my refuge as well, too, because every single day when I go into the group and I see all of your beautiful work, it inspires me, whether I'm creating or not. It sets my day. It's kind of like looking at that sunrise in Tucson, right? Where you're like, oh, look at the beauty of this world, versus going, okay, or turning on the news or the radio and you're like, oh man, I don't want to hear about that right now. I know it exists, but that's what Artist Corner does for me, is I wake up and I'm like, oh, look at that beautiful photo. Look at that beautiful piece of artwork. Look at that wonderful poem, and it sets my mood off right, versus being bogged down with noise and drama, right? So it really is my pleasure.
Certainly does that for me. I go different places, do different things, but I carry Artist Corner with me. They're always right there.
Right. I agree. And I have to thank all of you guys for doing that. Please continue to do so. Even if you think, okay, I've got nothing new. I hate to say nobody cares. That's not the right words, but nobody cares if you got something new. I mean, we look forward to it. Okay. So I'm not trying to say I don't care, but you've got so many great things. Re-show it to us, and don't think, there's always somebody that hasn't seen it, or like I promise most of the stuff you guys I have showed in the corner before, and maybe you're a new member and you haven't seen it. See, and you guys are all telling me, I'm not seeing this one. And I got the same reaction when you guys come on. I haven't seen that one. So let's light it up, everyone, and try to post something, or again, too, if we got new members, find a new friend, make them feel welcome. And so that they continue to want to share with, because I'm trying to get to everybody and highlight everybody, but there's a huge amount of you, and I mean, we're talking trying to highlight at least 50 active members in a 30-day span, and then new members coming in. So if I can't get to a new member and you spot one, let's make them have that welcome mat out. You guys be my happy helpers. Let's be that family that we're all striving to be together.
Exactly.
Right. Thank you, my friend. My pleasure. Oh, thank you. It's been fun. Everybody wasn't as great with Frosty here tonight. That was awesome. Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Right. And you guys, I'm just looking at here too. I'm seeing some new people in the chat and welcoming back a few new people. I love to see you guys and what you're working on. And again, even if it's older stuff, please continue. We love seeing your work. And everybody make sure that Frosty's going to probably join you in the chat, but make sure you guys all give Frosty some love. Didn't he do a great job tonight?
Thank you.
I think so. You're welcome. All right. I'm going to excuse him and we're going to talk about tomorrow. All right. Thank you, my friend. I love you. Give your wife a kiss for me. Bye. Wasn't that awesome? I was a little nervous too, because I'm like, man, he's going to, what is he going to ask me? He's going to put me on the spot. I even knows what he was going to do to me. That was so much fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that and you guys got to get to know a little bit about me and what I do, and how much I love each and every one of you, and how much you guys actually mean to me. And, crazy having this wonderful show. Oh, thank you guys so much for being here too. I think that was so great. So great for you guys all to show up and support me, and I hope that you guys do that for our other artists as well. But I love you guys, and that means the world to me. Thank you for lighting my day up. Just being here and being part of my world. You guys are truly people that I love and cherish. And I'm so thankful for each and every one of you. Oh, it's awesome. Thank you. I'm just going to read some of your guys' chats here. Thank you. It's so nice to see like Cindy and Crazy Bear's here. Lehman's is here. Ron, thank you so much for being here. Miss you, Mike, Dada. You guys, so many. My voice. And I know that Kate and Bees was here early, and Zen, you guys are so awesome. I love joining in tonight. Thank you so much, you guys. How much fun. And we have so many people over there on X watching it as well, too. Thank you guys for joining me over there and YouTube as well. right? I was nervous, and Frosty did do really well. I love you too, H2O. Thank you guys so much. All right, tomorrow, you guys, it's going to be interesting because he doesn't come on live, but he is very active in the chats. And tomorrow, our artist of the show is Philip Harvey. So much fun. You would think that he's live with me because he's so interactive in the chats with everybody, and he's got so much fun and stories. And as I'm telling it, and he's giving me the stories to go with each one of his pieces, but it's also like 1 o'clock in the morning when he's here and we're streaming live. So he's barely hanging in. He's like, so come and keep him busy in the chat so that he will be here. He was here with us last time. We had so much fun with Philip Harvey. He is such an amazing artist. He got me all pieces that I promise you, I haven't seen a lot of these either. I'm like, what in the world? So tomorrow, our artist night is the one and only Philip Harvey art, guys. So excited, you guys, to have him here. And like I said, he won't necessarily be live with me on chat, but it kind of is because he's so active in the chat that it's like having him here anyway, which he is, but just not physically on the screen. So come be a part of that tomorrow, you guys, and relish in the amazing artwork of Philip Harvey. Right, it's so exciting. I love to do these shows. Then we got a great segment coming up for the Reset Kitchen. I believe that we're doing Indian food this when like non-bread is just super exciting, you know, taking us for a little trip to a different kind of cuisine. Then I have got a great guest coming on Monday. Bernie Mac is going to be not Bernie Mac, sorry, Bernie Flowers is going to be joining me. I don't know why I was thinking of that. And then we'll be finishing, of course, with stories of humanity. Love sharing good news out with you guys. So please, my Artist Corner family, make sure we all show some love to Philip. He is so much fun. And thank you guys. If there's anything you can do for me, is let's just bring awareness to these wonderful artist nights. So again, it's you know, yeah, I love having the, you know, the followers I do, and I love all the likes, and thank you. That matters with the algorithm. But it's also about you guys. You know, I want to make sure that we get a lot of viewers coming to see your wonderful talents like you guys just saw, you know, mine tonight. And this was a wonderful and a beautiful experience. And again, thank you, Frosty, my sweet, sweet friend, for not only doing all that you do, being a fantastic moderator, but coming to interview me tonight, make me a little nervous, and all of your wonderful donations. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so honored by you guys. I have to think there's so many of you. I know that Nancy, again, with $50. Thank you for, it's been a fantastic interview. Thank you, closing out with a bang. Yes, ma'am. And Zen and Princess. And who did I miss? JJ. And oh my gosh, and Kim, and thank you guys so much for just, you know, helping out a little bit extra with your wonderful donations and support to the show. But I'm so grateful that you guys are here with me tonight, and that you guys are a huge part of my life. And I truly mean that. You guys honor me for, you know, for being a part of my wonderful world. And I cannot thank you enough for that. Yes, boom, JJ. That's right, busting out the door with some awesome direction. That's right. I love it. I love it. All right. So let's give some love. You guys want to know about my shows? I post my promotion. That's the wrong one. I post my promotions after every show or the day before. But you guys, if you follow me on these streams, you guys will see those. And those are the ones I want you to share out and help bring awareness, or make your own, or whatever you want to do. But you guys, I'll be sharing out promotions for Philip Harvey as soon as we're done here too. And you guys can follow me on X at Lady Hamilton AR1, or you can follow me on X Truth Gabbed and Pilled at Lady Hamilton Art. But you know what? These guys truly are the best. Not only do I have the best group in the whole world, I mean that. And I just shared out a wonderful little message to them yesterday too. I truly have the best moderators, and they go above and beyond to help with the promotions of the show as well too, and to make sure that they are here every single show with us when they can. And I am truly grateful for all that you guys do for me above and beyond, and bringing awareness and bringing love to the chat when, you know, I can't watch it 24/7. So you guys mean the world to me, and thank you. You are truly the best. So you guys, let's give them some love as well, and a thank you and a follow, starting with the amazing JJR SVL, who has been with me for over 2 years. This man has done more for me to bring awareness than I can even tell you. He has been with me when I was like basically nothing. And so if you guys know about me, most likely it's because of JJ. So a huge shout out to this great friend of mine, and give him some serious love. Follow him on Truth X Gab Pilled Getter, and his amazing Rumble channel, where we all love his videos, where he's helping and serving others and doing all kinds of wonderful things. And of course, do not go without seeing that amazing putting on the armor of God video. It's the one we play on every Sunday. We love you, JJ. Are fantastic and wonderful. And thank you, Try. He helped with the show too. He gets the beautiful rant as well. JJ with your wonderful cookie over there on Pilled. I love that. But Try, I love you too, my friend. And please give him some love on Truth and on X. Such an amazing, amazing friend. He's almost been with me that long as well too. These two are definitely some wind beneath my wings. And you gentlemen mean so much to me. Our beautiful Nancy, let's give her some love. She is definitely one of my cheerleaders. You guys, let's give her a follow on Truth and on X. The one and only who interviewed me tonight, the amazing Frosty Pimp. Thank you so much, my friend. I had so much fun. And again, a little love to, you guys for your wonderful everything, and also your donation tonight too. But let's give them some love and a huge thank you. What a wonderful interview, right? I love you guys so much. And our wonderful, wonderful Kim over there on Truth. Right, her beautiful spirit. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. You are the best. All right, everyone. We're gonna. Oh, I didn't even change that song title. I gotta change that because we're gonna be jamming out of here from this group. But I usually put the title of the song. We are gonna be jamming out of here with the wonderful sounds of My Troubled Days, everyone. This song I love so much. I just want to leave you guys with a pep in your step, a snap in your fingers. This is one of my really go-to songs. It's called This One's For You. I love it so much. They're amazing. They're working on their 4th album right now. And thank you so much for letting me play your music. So everyone, I will see you tomorrow as we celebrate the wonderful works of Philip Harvey. And other than that, I will see you guys in the Artist Corner. Everyone, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you for all that you do for me. And thank you for being part of my wonderful world. Everyone be blessed. And I'll see you guys all later. Have a great night.
Demanding, always fair, a lending hand, you always grand. I always know who's got my back. This one's for you. A certain smile, well, it reminds, of a distant time, sitting around, laughing with you. I miss you more than I thought I do. This one's for you. This one's for you, and all that you do when I look, when I look, I see who you are, I see who you are, I see who you are, I see who you are. You give and give, oh, never wanting back. My heart, it sings with you, so sing it with me, sing it true.
Satellite coming down in 3, 2, 1.